I'm a huge fan of this guy. As I've mentioned, his new film, Steve Jobs, is in theaters near you. Same with The Martian, in which he is spectacular in The Martian as well. The 4-time Golden Globe Award nominee, Jeff Daniels, here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Jeff?
I'm good, Rich. Pleasure to be on.
Pleasure to have you on this show. So what's your allegiance in the Michigan State battle? Do you have one at all?
So my kids went to Michigan State.
Okay.
So they're still laughing.
Okay.
I was able to watch the game.
Okay.
And I just, if it were a movie and they wrote it, you wouldn't believe it.
Nope.
But yeah, it was devastating. 100, as I told a friend of mine, 100. I missed the end. What happened? I said, well, 108,000 people crapped the bed.
That's one way to describe it. There's no doubt about that. I was just wondering what your...
I love the cutaways to all the Michigan fans. Just rocked. It was just great.
I'm glad there was no camera on me. I'm a class of 90 alumnus of the University of Michigan, Jeff. So I was...
Oh, my God. Were you up and throwing things?
No, I was trying to remain stoic, thinking that somehow I was waiting for, like, Ashton Kutcher to pop out and say I've just been punked in the most unique way possible, just waiting for that to happen. But, I was watching it with my NFL Network compadres, including Steve Mariucci, who's a best man at the wedding of Tom Izzo and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
So he was euphoric. I mean, just euphoric. And it was not easy for me to take, at the time. But I was wondering.
Well, it's I live 15 minutes from Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And as I've often said, and I love Ann Arbor, and it's a great town, and the university, and all that it's done. Mm-hmm. But Ann Arbor is you get to tell, I've told people from Ann Arbor, I said, what a.
Oh.
And they go, yes, it is kind of Shangri-La, isn't it? Well,
yeah,
okay.
I just lost you there. So say that again. What do you tell people about Ann Arbor, Jeff?
I tell them 15 minutes Shangri-La, and they, they kind of agree. It must be special for you.
You know what?
So when something like this goes wrong, and certainly Michigan State is, they've won now 6 out of 7 or something.
7 out of 8, but who's counting?
Yeah, we wouldn't know. Hey, look, Harbaugh's done an incredible job. Bringing that team and getting that team to believe again after a tough transition. And so what's great to see is that rivalry is back. And but win or lose, it's you're going to look forward to that game every year.
Yeah, I know that. So because I know you went to Eastern and Central Michigan, right? Did you got?
Yeah, I didn't have the grades to get into Ann Arbor. That's true.
But you have an honorary degree, don't you, from Michigan?
They did. They gave me an honorary degree from Michigan. I was very proud to get that. Yeah.
Yeah, in fine arts. You got an honorary doctorate, which is great. So you're Dr. Jeff Daniels when you come to Ann Arbor.
I am.
Right?
I am. I really am. I'm very proud of that. Yeah. No one calls me that, but I am.
Then allow me to be the first. Let me be the first.
No.
Dr. Jeff Daniels joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show right now. So what did you make of the Lions finally coming up with their first win, Jeff? Because you are a Lions fan, correct?
Yes. Well, I was. I had a rough time with the Seattle game because you look at it and they're on the 10-yard line or whatever, minute and a half to go, and you just try not to think of what possible way could we lose this. Because there's a way. It's going to be and then it's something. Calvin coughs it up with a half yard to go, and then the guy bats it out. And you go, well, I haven't seen us lose that way. That's interesting to me. That's a whole new way to lose a game we should have won. Terrific. And then you go through the next week, complaining, and then against Arizona, the bottom falls out, and now you don't even speak. And then we pull off the win with the Bears, which we almost blew. And I don't know. I don't know if we're cursed. I don't know if it's management, I don't know. All I know is it's whatever the Cubs are going through, and I know they're going through it, it's worse for us somehow. It's just
Jeff Daniels joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about Steve Jobs, this film, Steve Jobs. How did you get involved in this? Was it the Sorkin connection, Jeff?
Oh, very much. Yeah, I had done Newsroom for 3 years, and we knew we were wrapping it up. And Aaron walks on the set, and he goes, "You've heard about Jobs?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you want to play Skull?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay." So that was it.
That was it.
It was a 3-year audition, but you know, it worked out well. So I was very happy to get back on board with Aaron. He's a one-of-a-kind writer, a singular voice, and we had some great people with us, with Michael and Kate and Seth and Michael Stuhlbarg, and everybody was loaded and loaded for bear. I mean, you got to bring your A game when you take on Sorkin, and it was a great set to be on because everybody did.
Yeah, and being on the set of the Newsroom for as many years as you were you playing Olbermann in that show, Jeff? Is that what you were doing on Newsroom?
Keith, I talked to Keith, after the show was done, and he goes, "You were me, right?" And I go, "No, Keith, no." I mean, Aaron may have researched him a little bit. I think he was around Keith a little bit. I think Keith, I did ask him, "Have you ever thrown a cell phone at a camera?" And he goes, I've tossed a cell phone.
Just not at a camera.
At a camera lens. No, right. I haven't done that. I said, "Okay, so it wasn't you." No, it was. I said, "Keith, I'm not sure." I never sat on the set and said, "Today I'm going to do Keith doing this." It never happened.
Right. But, I mean, we did all meet Sorkin years before when we were all on SportsCenter when he did Sports Night, and he came up and he...
Yeah, I'm sure he took things from Keith and maybe a few other people, but
right.
I never sat down with any anchor and said, "I'm going to shadow you." I just decided, why don't we make it up? You guys have written it. Aaron's written it well. The research has been done already. Let me just feed it into all those TV studios and news programs I've been on over the years, plugging movies, where you look around and you go, "Oh, that's how they do it at the Today Show. That's what goes on behind the scenes." Right. And you kind of just compile all that and then throw it in front of the camera on Newsroom.
In Steve Jobs, though, you're playing an actual human being for sure. You're playing Apple CEO John Sculley in this. What were your considerations coming in this, playing an actual real live individual who is walking the planet, Jeff?
Well, I was fortunate to meet with John Sculley for a day, and he was very helpful. He, in particular, talked about how much the relationship meant to him and still means, and that they didn't reconcile, that they had this huge falling out after starting off so great together, a great creative relationship, great business relationship. They liked each other, they trusted each other. And then John made a business decision that Steve disagreed with, and in hindsight, it turned out to be a bad one. But at the time, the thing to do, and Steve never forgave him. And in talking to John, you get a regret regarding that. That if whether, and John said, I didn't reach out to him either. It was a two-way street, and I wish I had at least tried. And I think he really cared about Steve. He cared about the fact that they were changing the world, that it wasn't just a CEO or a corporate guy jumping on another startup and then moving away. And he cared about what they were doing together, and that it ended badly, and then John had to spend a lot of years saving his reputation.
And Michael Fassbender as Steve Jobs, you just take a look at him and you feel like he's literally channeling the man. It really is remarkable.
Yeah, Michael had the big load on this one, and he showed up and was just... he was as prepared in the last week of shooting as he was on the first, and that's all you can ask of somebody at that level. And he delivered, and it was a joy to play with. We got a scene in the middle of the movie that's like a verbal heavyweight fight, and you don't get many of those, but when you do, it's a great day to go to work.
Yeah, Steve Jobs expanding nationwide Friday, October 23rd. Go see it with Dr. Jeff Daniels. Here on the Rich Eisen Show, and I'd love to have you in studio next time you're free here in Los Angeles, Jeff. I'd be honored to have you in here.
I'd enjoy that.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Good luck with the movie and beyond.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
You bet. That's Jeff Daniels at Jeff_Daniels on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.